said, it's like, why do you make it so complicated? Just be honest. Just say what's on your mind.
That's not the world they live in.
It really isn't.
Nah, it's not.
And for as much as they communicate and are always in constant communication, they don't really connect or talk about much.
But think about it. There's not many even adults that are just like that, right? Like they beat around the bush and stuff like that. So
well, I don't know anything about that.
Well, I do. I do.
Yeah. But it's true. Like, even in this situation that I'm going through, right now at the school, like, just how do you, like, is it really so hard to have a conversation with somebody? Like, to me, silence is harder.
I was always it's funny, like, so we just celebrated our 21st year anniversary, right?
Congratulations.
And we were at brunch, and the server kind of asked us, "Oh, what's the secret?" The cliche question.
Right.
And I joked around at first, but then I said something really serious. I think me and my wife have lasted so long is because we're always honest, even brutally. Like sometimes the honesty comes out in a way that hurts your feelings, but you got to try to get past how it was said and listen to what was said. And then you're like, oh, well, even though this hurts my feelings, she's upset because I'm doing X, Y, Z, right? Or not doing X, Y, Z.
So I had a meme that I was going to bring up to start off our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This exact conversation, I didn't even need it, but the meme says, when you want to help people, you tell them the truth. When you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear.
Right. And so we don't ever do that.
Right.
Right. Like even if whatever I'm doing wrong, and trust me, I do a lot wrong. Whatever I'm doing wrong, she lets me know. And it's not always in the nicest way. Mm-hmm. But you got to accept that, right? You got to eat that because you can't decide how someone feels in the moment. Right. Right? They could be mad, you can't tell them, why are you so mad? Mm-hmm. Because you don't know how what you're doing is affecting them. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's probably the major key. Mm-hmm. And my parents were the same way. Like my mom, they don't like to hear that, but my mom is very similar to Ebony, or vice versa. They are super strong women who let you know what's up. Yeah. No matter where you at and who you're in front of, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But yeah. I tell people all the time, I only know one way to be. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so I'm going to tell you what's going on. My dad used to say I can do it in a way that's not, I can tell people off without telling people off, mm-hmm. which is cool too. But sometimes my temper gets the best of me too. I've
gotten that at work where I think I've told you this, where the HR rep tells me I'm the best she's ever seen at firing somebody. Yeah. I can have a tough conversation with somebody, but I can be letting somebody go, but they walk out of my office feeling like it was a good conversation. That's good.
That's a good skill to have. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have it all the time, but I don't.
I wish I could too. Yeah. But yeah, it's true. And then, you go with silences or telling somebody what they want to hear, and it doesn't, you don't progress through the issue or the problem. It just stays there. Yeah. It just stays there. So 21 years.
21 years.
20. So what year is this?
2022.
Okay. So my 22nd is coming up.
Yeah. We got married 2 weeks before 9/11.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You came home from your honeymoon?
The day before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, crazy time. But yeah, 21 years, man. Hopefully we'll get at least 21 more.
That's a long time.
That is a long. It is. I mean, I was telling my barber yesterday, like I'm 21 years married and I've been with my wife 24 years. Mm-hmm. That's over half of my life. Mm-hmm. That is crazy. Mm-hmm. It's insane to even think about. Yeah. And you never I never would imagine when I met her that we'd be together 24 years. Yeah. Like it never crossed my mind. That's why. I
didn't have any concept of what that amount of time was because I was only 25 years old, I guess, right around there when I met him. So I didn't really have any concept of that amount of time.
Yeah. So, yeah, and,
man. Now we see it in like the age of our children or, coming on 5 years of living here after 10 years of living somewhere, after however many years of living, somewhere else and whatever. It all starts to add up and I go, shit, I'm old. but But truth. That's one thing that I was thinking about today with our strong words was, came from that meme, and it sort of the concept of the truth or my truth and your truth.
Oh, yeah. I always say, that saying is very true. Like there's two sides to a story and the truth somewhere lies in the middle, because everybody's perceptions and feelings can always, feel a certain way. Like
and it colors the experience in a different way.
It does. Yeah, I get that.
It's one reason why, for example, like this issue that's going on with the FPC girls team, that I don't want to talk to one of the assistant coaches who's a dear friend of mine about the situation like I would talk about it to you, because I don't want my situation to color her experience.
Right.
This is a dream situation for her. This is a dream come true situation for her.
Right.
She gets to have that.
Right. And and it's funny. I'm glad you do that. But I always find, sometimes I have the inner conflict, right? Like when you get to a certain point, not that I'm some famous guy or whatever, but I've coached a lot of kids, and you've done the same thing now, and Victor's done it and Joe has done it. Like we've all been around for many, many years, and you get to a point where obviously over the course of 7 or 8 years, not everyone's going to be happy, right? And then so people say things about you when you're not around, but you can't react to that. And I know that, right? Like, so I kind of try to live that way, but the queens in me, I guess, is like, am I letting people get away with it? And that's the conflict I have sometimes. Like, I know what you did, but because I'm trying to be the better person, I'm not gonna, I guess, get down in the mud with you.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like I'm letting people get away with it.
There's nothing entirely satisfying in the moment of being the bigger person.
Word.
You really have to wait to see the results of that down the line to feel like,
right.
And it's not very satisfying in the moment to not react. But not reacting is not the same as not responding. And I think responding in a more mature and thoughtful way in the end is probably the better way to go. And then I can be petty as well and think my house is going to be full of basketball players tonight.
Yeah.
Watching a game.
Yeah, for me, I just it just makes me do what I do even more intense. Right? Like
all it's going to do is make me a better coach.
Right. So in the end, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But like, I just, in this small of a community in which we live in, and even in general, like, I don't understand why people don't want to talk and work things out and work together for the betterment of the youth. Like, this is where we live, guys, is so small.
It's a small town. Like,
why do we have 78 chiefs? 78 Indians. All these chiefs, right? All these chiefs and not enough Indians. Like, I don't understand it. But hey, man, people do what they do, and then I just sit back and watch. But it's, like I say, all these things, they don't stop me from coming to games. They don't stop me from interacting with people. If people choose not to interact with me, that's on them. But I do what I do.
In leadership, true leadership is more about who you are, your heart, not your title. I think that's another meme I probably posted today. And I'm cool with that today.
Yeah. No, in the end, the people that you've affected in a positive way will let you know you're doing the right things.
And in the end, my kid's going to be better off.
Yeah.
And my kid's going to be better off. We were just, for the listeners, having a conversation before we got on the mics, and I said, well, I have thoughts on this, but I don't want to have the conversation in front of my daughter because she doesn't have to take my experience on as her own. She needs to just go enjoy her friends.
Right.
Which is truly why she plays basketball anyway. There are people she plays basketball with that have D1 dreams, that have, basketball beyond high school dreams. I don't know that Carolyn does. And so I want her to go soak up the entire experience with her girlfriends and have a great time. And
then she will, because she's gonna do. Like I used to say to the kids last year, sometimes the boys team, like, you guys are doing this wrong. Like, you're supposed to be enjoying every single second of this because you don't get it back.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of these young people don't understand. In this moment where you have a chance to be unified as a team, and you choose not to do that, you're gonna look back 20 years from now and be like, damn, what was I thinking? I only hung out with these two people and got to know them for the 4 years when I had so many different personalities on one particular team I could have been with. It is, you got to enjoy it, man.
And I think my proudest accomplishment of working with the high school girls was that document that I shared with you.
Yeah.
That the girls, like, that was the culmination of our summer when we did that media day and I gave out the questionnaires, and those word for word came from the girls talking about what they wanted for their program. And you could probably read them and even tell with some of them who said what, you know, because you can kind of hear it in their voices. But this entire beautiful mission statement of, you know, and the wanting to be have an unbreakable bond, wanting to play with boldness and confidence. I mean, that I had something to do with that.
Yeah, of course you did.
They weren't writing that last summer. You know what I mean? To play with boldness and confidence and have an unbreakable bond and to have create a program we can be proud of. And
I think that, you know,
I think they're going to do that for themselves.
Yes, I think it's still out there. Like, I think, you know, I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think they'll be better than last year. I think they're going to play a more enjoyable style of basketball. I think the young people and the new people to the program are going to kind of inject it with energy. And these are all the things but I already thought that. Like, I don't think that because of now. I thought that from last year.
Right.
And so I have the ability to try to see things down the line. And, you know, I hope they get off to I hope they get off to a very good start.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I hope the boys get off to a good start soon.
I'm so excited to see these boys play.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we got to see where they all fall. Like, I don't know, you know, I like to joke all the time, and I even joke with Coach Williams and Coach Edmonds. I love being the second assistant, the third person, because I don't have to make hard decisions. Like, I give input, but at the end of the day, you know, Coach Williams and Coach Edmonds, they decide really. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of the ninth graders make varsity. If so, who? But that JV team, because it's not going to be 4 or 5 ninth graders that make it. It's not possible, right? It's got to be 1 or 2. Whoever does it, that JV team,
it's going to be a fire.
Especially combined with Coach Edmonds' coaching ability, is going to be incredible. Yeah. And they will be ready for varsity when the time comes, because he will get them ready.
And that's how you do it right.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
JV really needs to be
a
developmental training ground for.
Yes, yes, you are hitting it. Yeah, I'm excited to have my son be coached by them. You know, it's like the first time in my life. I'm like, you know, I can't wait for these guys to get their hands on him, and he's already improving in his work ethic a little bit, little by little. You know, I tell him all the time, he's a little lazy, right? You know, it's hard when your dad's been talking to you all these years. You don't know he's your dad. But now he's got 2 other people telling him the same thing. So, you know, he's been making his sprints and, you know, for the most part, right? And
that's great.
He's got a friend that's doing really well. That's probably pushing him as well, you know, because you don't want your friend leaving you behind. Right. And I think that young man, Mr. Perry, is going to – what is that saying? The rising tide lifts all boats or something like. I think he's the rising tide.
That's so exciting.
I do.
I like that kid a lot.
Yeah, I think he's the rising tide. So
my favorite kids are always the ones I have a bumpy start with. You know, and he didn't know what to make of me when I put that jump rope in his hand at that first meeting or practice and whatever.
Yeah, he's good.
I like him a lot. When I was a kid, I was in theater. I was an actor, and doing theater in high school. These student productions, the students do everything behind the scenes as well. Set crew and costume crew and student director and all that kind of stuff. And a couple times I got sunk my teeth into a role as student director for a production, and I loved it. I loved making this whole vision come together and bringing out the performance.
You're kidding.
Right? Well, right. But I remember my parents at the time, my dad has, since changed his mind because he did plays later on in his life. But at that time, they were like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get to go see you do anything. Why do you want to be behind the scenes instead of on stage? Like, I'm happy for you if you're happy, but I don't get it. Right. The last few months, getting ready for what I thought was going to be, a position at the high school, I've been doing a lot of study of coaches, and it's the same thing. Like, I am so head over heels crazy about Becky Hammond.
Yeah. I often wish I could coach and not be on the sideline. Like, I don't even like getting into pictures when they win. Mm-hmm. Like, so I know what you mean. Like, mm-hmm. I always, it's because the kids play. I just, you know what I mean?
But there's if you're doing it right, there's that synergy back and forth, and you get. I'm listening to an Audible, Pat Summitt's last book, her memoir, and that she wrote after her Alzheimer's diagnosis.
Yeah,
and how she trained herself to see 10 people at a time, standing, and it like that director position, that coach position is so. I understand it being so key, so much more now than I did, 5 years ago watching Joseph play. Because, you could argue that the coaching situation, didn't have that kind of synergy when he was in high school. But I'm definitely in love with coaching right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I love that I never thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I've done it in other capacities. Like, I've coached a team of 32 people through their first triathlon. I've done a lot of, small group coaching and one-on-one, but in this aspect, with this sport, it's a different kind of cool experience.
Yeah. I mean, I love the practices.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love putting in the plays and seeing them run them, and then being able to just say something on the sideline and then see it.
Mm-hmm.
Or tell them, hey, I see something. Hey, if we just work the ball to this side, they're not, and then them just do it.
I loved the moments this summer when one of my favorite players would look over at you, like, from the court and be like, what are they in? Or, like, helping her see what she needs to see. Yes.
And that's when you know that a player is seeing the game, right? Like, so, hey, what are we in? What are they in? What should we be running? And that's when sometimes I'll be like, well, I haven't gotten to see it yet because we keep turning it over, or, oh, they're in this, so we should just be in this. Mm-hmm. And that's what you hope the point guard does. That's the point guard's job. I think that's the one thing I'm like a little bit of a dinosaur at, because I think in today's basketball, everyone wants the point guard to be a scorer, and that's to me a point guard's job can be to score, but should be to organize her teammates offensively. Now, defensively is usually the center. Offensively is usually the point guard. And some of the greatest moments with my 8th grade team was when our starting point guard would get them in the right position without me saying anything. And then get a shot for who might be our best 3-point shooter, or get a shot for someone in the middle of the zone where we want them. That, to me, is what a point guard should be doing. But I think in today's basketball, you see Steph Curry's and Damian Lillard's and all them, and you see all the scoring, and you forget the other part of their job. They do that other stuff too. Right. You just don't see it because you're so in love with the scoring. So, we'll see. But
this isn't a basketball podcast.
No.
This is our intro. Like, we're 19 minutes into it. All we talked about is
basketball.
Yes, and this vague thing that I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about specifically yet. But all right, so here is something that caught my eye. We have vacation together.
Yes.
We stayed at a resort You know, we stayed in a hotel a couple years ago. I vacationed with girlfriends to the Keys, and I looked at hotels, and they looked at Airbnbs.
Right.
And we ended up staying in an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article talking about how horrible Airbnb is for the housing market and finding affordable rentals because people are Airbnb-ing their properties, and it makes fewer homes available for renters. And even home buyers.
Well, I mean, hey, you can do what you want to do with your home, though, right? Like, so.
But yeah, but it definitely, has a ripple effect.
Of course,
on,
I've never even thought about that.
Whether or not, me neither. I'm a little fascinated by it now. Thinking about how ultimately it might be great for the individual, go capitalism and whatever, but how it can deplete the resources of a community.
So, it's good for the person who owns a home, right? But it's good for tourism too, right? Like let's take Flagler Beach for instance. Maybe somebody can't get a home to rent, but as far as tourism and all those restaurants on the Strip, it's probably helping them.
It might be, but if people can't afford to live close to those
That's
restaurants
true.
on the Strip to serve your, serve your crab legs.
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, I mean, it always seems like everything that starts out good has some kind of bad effect, right?
Like everything, like everything, like social media, like, everything. But yeah, I remember reading in New York City the pushback with Uber from the taxi cab drivers. Yeah,
I bet, because they pay $1 billion for a medallion. Yeah, I think Uber's ended up having to get the medallions, didn't they?
I think so.
Medallions are expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they sometimes people pass down those medallions through generations. Yeah.
So yeah, something that can be so beneficial to the, the conscientious individual that is trying to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and, create some type of income, it can have.
Yeah, it can hurt the people who are already doing that.
Yeah, and so in the more conventional way. I mean, we were just talking here, like I love this house, but the housing market is such that the people who own this house might want to sell it at some point and make a ton of money.
Well, I don't know. They might have missed their chance now. Because I think.
Please come on back down. Come on back down.
Yeah, I think it's evening out
so
now.
Mama can buy a house.
Man, it's so crazy, man. My brother-in-law, his parents want to move down here, and right when they thought about it, like it just started skyrocketing. I'm like, you can't do it right now,
right?
Because it's just like I love Palm Coast, but I'm not paying $400,000 to live here. No, I'm just not doing it. But yeah, the housing market's been crazy.
So anyway, yeah. So I was pretty fascinated to go down the Airbnb rabbit hole about it being bad for housing.
Yeah.
It can be, it causes a decrease in long-term rental supply.
No.
Including affordable housing, and it's, it harms local renters.
All that makes sense.
So what's the answer?
I'm not smart enough to know. All that makes sense to me because, yeah, I mean, that lessens the inventory, and then lessens the inventory. What the people who are renting, then they know, hey, you only got me, so now you instead of $1,700 a month, we're charging you $2,100. Yep. So yeah, that causes rents to rise. I can see all that. What's the answer? I have no idea because you can't.
Because we started this conversation with you saying I can do what I want with my house.
Exactly. Right. Like you can't regulate that. Right. Like if you're doing it and it's legal, that's really all you can do.
And in some places it's not. Like some of the communities that I've managed don't allow their homes to be homes in that CDD or that HOA to be Airbnbs or short-term rentals at all. The one that I worked in here in Palm Coast specifically cited Airbnb in their bylaws or whatever, and rentals had to be, I want to say, a minimum of 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the answer to that's the answer to most problems here is empathy, right? Like, so if you know that, if you can make money renting for $1,700. Don't charge $21.
If you can make money, with gas priced at $210, don't charge $499.
Yeah, but that never happens here, right? Yeah. My Facebook timeline is always so funny, right? Like, I guess, so Biden came out with the loan thing, right?
Oh,
which by the way, America, guess who has a loan for their kid that's going to get forgiven? This guy.
Yay! That's awesome.
So listen, and everyone's posting oh, what about the people who never took loans? And what about the people who paid their loans? And I'm paying my tax money for this. You know how much stuff I paid tax money for, got no benefit of?
Mm-hmm. I mean, countless, right?
I'm paying for the tax cuts.
Yep.
For the first time in my life, I had a tax bill last year. Yep. First time in my life. Mm-hmm. Well, other people got tax cuts.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's life. That's how this country goes, right? So,
at some point, you have benefited from something that somebody else paid for that they didn't, and vice versa.
Come on, man. I don't understand that. So instead of being happy for somebody poor who probably can't afford these things, or even not even poor.
And seriously, and the point isn't forgiving a chunk of a loan from somebody who is dumb or late. These are predatory lenders in the first place.
See, we gotta circle back to this conversation one day, because I want to do some research to see how much college costs in other countries.
Right. Or the people who are causing the fuss about this particular debt forgiveness are people who paid perhaps for college at an incredibly different rate than what, our kids are paying today.
Yeah, college shouldn't be so much for profit.
So this is one thing that happens when for 4 years your Secretary of Education is made her money from servicing student loans. I mean, she wasn't an educator. She was a servicer of loans. She was a business person.
I have a whole theory on the college thing, but I don't like to. One of my cousins always calls me a radical. I swear to you, man. As soon as lesser people in society started getting access to college, the price went up.
Yes.
When women started going to college, price went it never was that expensive. Now all of a sudden, to go to a good college, you got to pay $35,000 a year.
Right?
Doesn't make sense.
So I think I've said this before on the podcast. Something my son has always said is the government wants Americans to be sick and dumb, so we are easily controlled.
So when
overworked, so we can't protest.
Yeah, take a school like Stanford, right? Mm-hmm. No, what are they, right? $40,000 a year, some nonsense?
I would say at least.
Right? Okay. They got about 1 billion sports. Mm-hmm. Do those sports not subsidize that school already?
Right.
Don't those sports already pay for the football alone? Mm-hmm. Doesn't that pay for the salaries of the professors and?
You think?
So then, what do you need? I need somebody smarter than that to tell me. So in the comments, tell me what I'm not seeing.
Well, and it's something that my dad would say a lot when I would be pro affordable education or pro free college. Well, mm-hmm. how are those professors going to earn their salaries? How are the sports, Dad? I mean, you had a son that played college football. You know how this works.
I mean, where's the money going? Right? So if you go to a school like Stanford or Michigan that has a top tier football,
Thank you for putting Stanford and Michigan in the same thought.
No, but I'm just saying, if you look at those two schools, they're good schools.
I do feel like Michigan is the Stanford of the Midwest. Go Blue.
And their basketball and football programs
alone.
And Stanford got a good baseball program, mm-hmm. women's softball program, women's basketball program. Mm-hmm. Where's all the money going? Because we know it wasn't going to the players, right? They weren't making any money.
Right.
So I need to know how much it costs to run a college.
Can somebody send us that
Yes.
calculation?
Are there any chancellors out there listening to the Strongly Worded podcast?
Yeah. And here's the thing. It always, especially in the topics you and I take up, comes back to empathy. Why do people come out and say, I suffered this hardship, so you should too?
Hey, that it makes no sense. So that would be like, and oh, I paid for my loan. You should pay for yours. Okay, cool.
And nobody's saying that they shouldn't pay for what they borrow. So
like that would be like my grandfather saying to me, "Oh, I went through Jim Crow and made a great life.
Right?
Why can't you do so under this?" Nah, man. Rules change, laws change. I'm sorry you had to pay for those loans, but I ain't sorry I'm getting my joint forgiven.
Right? Or okay, so I saw somebody saying, let's say, my friend dies from pancreatic cancer, and then 10 years later they come up with a cure. Oh, we're not supposed to celebrate a cure for this cancer because people have died from it in the past?
This is what I don't understand.
Like, we're not allowed to progress and evolve and do better. I want my kids to have it better than I did.
Exactly.
It doesn't make them soft or whatever, because I want them to be able to afford their education and graduate without being saddled with a type of debt where they're paying twice what they borrowed because of all the fees and interest and, people making money off them.
I already have $1,000 on that loan and I haven't started making one payment yet of interest. $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I can't even imagine. So.
And then and then people, these shortages in these specialties, where are you ever going to get the money as a teacher to pay back the loans you had to take out to become a teacher?
See that, and that's the issue, right? So to be a teacher, for the most part, most states gotta go 4 years,
at least,
and then you gotta get your master's,
and
right?
Then you gotta get a master's.
So we're talking about 6 years, right? Okay. So now, if you go to a good school, like you want to teach in California, you go to Stanford, right?
The Stanford of the
right.
of the West,
right? You might have paid over $100,000.
The Michigan of California,
right? And or even if you're in New York, you go to some Ivy League school and you say, you know what? I'm going to give back. I'm going to be a teacher. Oh, damn it. You only making $40,000 a year.
Right. And that's it. That's it.
It will always bother me that accountants and CEOs make so much more than teachers.
Agreed.
It's something I don't understand.
But there are even other professions. One tiny reason, one small piece of why we more and more in healthcare are becoming PAs is because of the amount of debt you graduate med school with.
Exactly. So why would you do that, right? And you can just be a physician's assistant and still see patients.
You still see patients. You still treat patients.
Yeah, for a long time, I think Anthony's first pediatrician was a PA. I gotta confirm that with my wife.
I had a friend in Wilson who was a PA that really educated me on, even right down to, it's not physician's assistant, it's physician assistant. Yeah. And it's different, it's it's different. She's very good at what she does, but she's the one that said it. Why would I pay all that money to go to med school when I make a great living and I'm doing exactly what many doctors set out to do? Right.
So, this country lacks empathy. I've said that a bunch of times. Yeah. And it's always, it seems like it's always going to be that way. And it's because we let the government pit us against each other always. Like it can't be.
The best way to exert control.
Yeah.
Is in division.
It's always got to be one thing or the other. And it's sad, but I've given up trying to bridge that gap or whatever. But it always happens. And so I think I posted on Facebook. I see on my timeline the government is doing what they do again. Yeah. Because there's people, complaining about loans, like complaining about me. Sorry. You didn't know I had one, huh? When you posted that, you talking about me, champ.
Yeah. And I read, people saying, oh, they're just doing this in time for the midterm elections. Well, please do. Let's get some more people out voting because
he's on a hot streak. He's, not that this is a politics podcast, but over the last 6-7 months, they've been passing some bills. Mm-hmm. And, climate change, they did some things for that, and they got the student loan stuff. And so
Come on, bring it.
He's been doing some things.
It's great timing. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to. This is the cycle, right? Like, this always happens. Like, when Donald Trump got in, and in the midterms, what happened? Like, you never like the guy who's in, and then no one votes in the midterms. Like, even like here. I don't know.
Here, like our primary had the highest voter turnout of any primary in Flagler County to date.
And still, what was it, like 30% of the people?
But it was 30% of the people. It's not, everything's not going to change overnight. But I was very encouraged by that. Because I do have... So my daughter calls me an optimist, but she says it like it's an insult. That's it. That's my point. But things had gotten to such a state in this county with certain positions that people came out in the primary and voted.
My thing is always going to be with all these people who go online and talk about how much they love their country and all this other stuff. It should be 100% then.
Well, it should be.
Yeah,
it's funny when I took my son to vote for the first time, and I was he was in the booth, and I was kind of joking around with the poll workers, right, about it being his first, and and one of the ladies said, is he really excited? And I was like, no, like he's really here because I was like, it's important. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And like, he's a young white male. He's never been, he's never had to fight for his right to do much, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
He is not a disenfranchised population. He's so maybe some of these populations that have been able to be complacent for a while realize we're not able to be complacent anymore.
I think that's the biggest thing that happened when Trump was in office. Mm-hmm. And people realize, oh, wait a minute. Maybe the stuff these people have been saying all these years is true.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe these rights are these rights that we had taken for granted. Mm-hmm. You take your eye off the ball for too long and
that's all right. When
snatch it from you.
That's all right. When Trump comes back in 2020.
And I ask again, you think anything's going to come of it? I mean, everything you read.
I can't imagine. I just don't think he did something nefarious. Like,
just every time you say that, my face goes.
So here's my thought process, right? I just don't think he's smart enough to do that, right? Like, and I just don't like when Hillary Clinton had the email server. I just didn't think she did it for any reason other than whatever she said, right? Like, I just think this dude took some boxes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. And maybe I'm wrong.
I get it, but I look at a history of him making decisions that he actually actively made that were nefarious.
No, I agree.
I have a hard time saying, oh, this one thing is just him being an idiot taking shit from the White House because he wanted something because he could.
Listen, I am not a Trump fan. My wife could tell you I didn't like Trump many, many, many years before he even dreamed of running. Mm-hmm. She thought I was crazy. Mm-hmm. We were watching an episode of Apprentice. He said something, and I immediately said, "Oh, I don't like this guy." Mm-hmm. Period. And I thought he was racist. Sorry, I did. And she was like, "What?" This was like we were still in New York. It was like years. I used to love The Apprentice, and then I stopped. I never watched another episode after that because he told somebody he had too much education. And I was like, "Huh?" What? So I mean, you. Wait, you don't wait, huh? It confused me to this day. It confuses me, and so I just don't know if they can prove, I guess, that he did this nefariously, right? Like he took these documents. What was he going to do with them? Was he going to sell them to someone? Like I just don't understand what he was going to do with them. And maybe I need to read about it more or whatever. But I just don't feel like he took these specific things on purpose. I just think he grabbed a bunch of shit and said, "Oh,
I'm out."
Right, and then at parties like, look at these documents I have from when I was president. Doesn't even know it's like nuclear secrets. Like, I just don't think he's an intelligent guy.
Well, I don't think he's an intelligent guy.
And I never did. So, sorry, and that doesn't mean I hate all Republicans, because I don't. I just don't think Donald Trump was a smart guy.
I have watched a couple shows this summer that in different ways dealt with Watergate.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the one show on, was it Amazon, with Julia Roberts?
Oh, how about
Martha Mitchell?
How have I missed this?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
And then I watched First Ladies
on
Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
And so Michelle Pfeiffer, who is another national treasure, playing Betty Ford.
Yeah.
And so, and there were so many of these conversations in those shows about, they just couldn't wrap their head around what was around Watergate and the president resigning and, you know, all of this.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's where we are. Like, I feel like these things can happen. I think that, I think we could be about to see something extremely historic. Oh,
gosh. I may have to not be on social media if something happens. Like, I don't even want to read the nonsense.
I have said several times that I'm an early morning news program watcher, like way too early and stuff like that. But I have, the last couple weeks, instead of watching the news in the morning, I've been doing yoga again.
Good.
I'm a much happier person.
Yeah. I mean, like, so much bad news now.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But we're recording again, so I got to get back on it.
Yeah. I used to watch the PBS News. Mm-hmm. And then I used to watch CNN until CNN became less news and more panels. Mm. I just can't.
Well, so many of them are now. MSNBC's the same way.
Yeah,
that's why I like Way Too Early. But now my favorite host is gone too.
Don't tell me what you think about the news.
Just
report the news.
Just report the news.
That's it.
I mean,
I don't need a bunch of people giving me their opinion on the news. Right. Just tell me the news. Mm-hmm. Now, there are spaces that I need that, right? Like,
right. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's total space in the 24-hour news cycle for those shows to exist.
Yes. I got a good friend that's always on, civil rights attorney I grew up with. He's on MSNBC all the time, Charles Coleman. Mm-hmm. And, you need that. Like, you need it. Sometimes you need the explanations of the legal stuff.
That's like what Meet the Press is for on the weekends, or, like some of those things that.
Yeah, but man, CNN gotta have a panel they do one story here to talk about it. No, I don't want you to talk about it. I can decide what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I was looking at a TikTok. What's his name? That actor, Michael Rapaport.
Oh goodness, yeah.
But it's something that I've always said and done. When something major happens in the news,
mm-hmm.
don't go watch the news you agree with. Don't go watch the programs you agree with. Go and see what they're saying somewhere, somewhere else.
Yeah, because you don't want to live in an echo chamber.
Right. And then I do that for 10, 15 minutes and my blood pressure goes up.
Yeah, but it helps you, right? Like, I try to, I need to know other people's perspective. Mm-hmm. Especially like as a coach, right? Like, I need to know.
That's it. I was just going to say, it's like, scouting your opponent.
Yeah, like I need to know where people are coming from, right? And so to try to understand them, but yeah. I haven't watched any news. I haven't watched Fox. I haven't watched any of them lately.
Rachel Maddow is only doing her show one night a week. Now they have another host.
Yeah, was that? Is it Wagner? No. Is that
I don't know her name.
I think so.
I watched the handshake and the handoff briefly, but and I liked Rachel a lot. I thought she was very good at breaking things down, breaking down big issues, and explaining why you should care about them. She explained to me several things over the years that were kind of just buzzwords and news stories that she kind of broke down into digestible portions. I think she's a very smart woman, and I'll miss her being able to check her out when something's going on that I don't understand.
I think she's going to do some podcasting or something.
Probably,
right?
yeah. Yeah, well, she was behind, she was on that chair for a long time. So, yeah, I guess you get to a point where it's not exciting or challenging or whatever anymore, where you just need something different or
maybe.
Feeling burnout.
Yeah, as a journalist, especially, maybe you want to broaden your horizons, right? Like, I get that.
I guess even like your dream job at some point after you do it for a while is still a job.
Yes, probably yes, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so I've just been doing yoga in the morning and
decompressing.
I think I'm going to stick with that this week too.
Yeah. I've been I read a lot more about stuff, so
I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I am doing an Audible book right now, and I'm enjoying that.
Oh, yeah, I almost canceled my Audible subscription, but I kept it.
Yeah. I'm still on the free trial because I just started it up.
Yeah, but it's about $14 a month.
Yeah, I like it though. I mean, I would spend that on a copy of a book,
right?
But I can't. They frown upon reading an actual book in your hands when you're driving to work. So I'm gonna stick with the Audible.
That's how I listened. That's how I read the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
I listened to them all. Yeah,
I have never listened to a fictional. To fiction. I've only ever listened to a book to nonfiction. Well, I guess I did listen to some of Unfinished Business.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
I think, I like it.
Yeah, I'll try that next. But today, we got some more WNBA playoff action.
Yeah,
I have a house full of girls watching the Aces, and my Becky. I said I was going to put on a hoodie and a blazer.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, so they're in the semifinals right now.
Yes.
Who are they playing?
Seattle.
Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be...
I don't know how we got the 4:00 game, but I'm excited.
Her ratings. I think most people watch WNBA in the afternoon. I used to watch WNBA all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when it first came out.
Yeah.
Because the Liberty were good. They had Teresa Weatherspoon and... They had Becky Hammond.
Yeah.
That's why I love her so much. And yeah, I enjoy women's basketball.
I do too.
Mainly because they play so fundamentally sound. And it's funny, we were having a conversation just before we got on mic about should they lower the rims, and I say no, because I don't want them ever. I like the game below the rim. Right? I think athleticism hurts the NBA in some instances.
I think that people watch, a lot of people watch NBA games who don't love basketball. I think people who are true basketball lovers can watch the WNBA and love watching it. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
There's a whole lot of entertainment in NBA games that somebody who's not necessarily passionate about the sport can still watch and find enjoyable.
That is, I think, spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah, like
my job here is done. See you next week, ladies and gentlemen.
No, seriously, I think people who probably don't know anything about basketball know LeBron James.
Yes, exactly.
But they don't know Candace Parker.
Right.
And yeah, that's that. I mean, that's why WNBA to me, like I always say, when you get really good women's teams, it's really good basketball.
Yep.
I always say that. Like, so yeah, I think we actually watched, me and Ed was watching, there's a documentary on ESPN Plus about, I want to say the 96 team. What was Atlanta's games? 96?
Yes.
The 96 games. They put together their first big dream team. Like Dawn Staley was on that team, and they did a whole documentary on that.
I need to watch that.
It's good.
It's on ESPN Plus?
Yeah. It's good.
You have to have the ESPN Plus app to watch it, or I can watch it on something else?
You might be able to watch it on Hulu.
Okay. What's it called?
Oh, man.
That's all right. You can text me later.
Yeah, but it's really good. And really, like, after that season, after they won the gold, that's when the WNBA came. And it is, it's a really good documentary about women and what they had to go through. And you know, it's funny that a lot of men won't watch WNBA, but a lot of NBA players, men, watch WNBA.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think people who know basketball, who love basketball, it's not like, I don't think it's true basketball players who scoff at watching women's basketball.
Like, I'll watch the women's college tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I was telling my son the other day, I was like, yeah, don't look like UConn going to make it because Paige Brooks tore ACL.
So that's something that I learned when I was talking about women's basketball in the Olympics, listening to this book that Pat Summitt wrote when she was Pat Head, and, you know, right before when she was training for the Olympic team and tore her ACL. And this is back when that surgery was barbaric and invasive, and like her scar runs from her thigh all the way around behind her, and there was no real rehab for it, and she just made up her rehab herself basically to be able to play in, you know, one last games.
It's funny. Bernard King tore his ACL's Knicks, and even then, like, he was doing rehab, and I get the Knicks thought he wouldn't recover from it, so they traded him. So I believe Bernard King's in the Hall of Fame now. And so Hall of Fame small forward never got to play with Patrick Ewing because they thought he wouldn't recover from ACL. Sorry, that's just my pain talking as a Knicks fan. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. It just brought up. A
little inner side note. All right. Well, I mean, I think we had some good topics. So we didn't solve the Airbnb crisis.
I don't know that. Yeah, that is interesting. Man. Because, you know, dealing with my mom, she was thinking about getting another apartment, and the rents were just so high. And if the inventory is lowered, like I said, by those Airbnbs, it's a problem. Yeah. But again, you know, then you'd have to regulate stuff, and we're not into that as a country, right? Like, not regulating how much money you can make. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't either. But it was interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, Biden can keep doing things. I don't care. Keep checking things off the list.
Is Biden going to run in 20? He's going to run again? No chance, right?
I don't think there's any chance. I mean, truly, there can't be any chance.
Too old.
Extremely too old.
Yeah, I
don't know what happened that got him in there in the first place. Like, we were primary, boom, this is our candidate. Wait, what?
No.
What just happened?
Older
backdoor conversation.
Older Democrats wanted stability. And when I mean older, I'm talking about like 55 and up. Yeah. A lot of people say it's older black. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I just want to say older. The instability of Trump and the, you know, too much progressiveness, I guess, for some of them older voters. They just wanted someone they could feel comfortable with. And they felt comfortable with him.
I mean, I was going to vote for whoever the candidate was. Versus,
yeah, I mean, I was not going
to vote for Trump.
Right, I was not going to vote for Trump. However, you know, people always say, "Oh, you Democrats wanted Biden." I don't know not one person in my circle of friends who wanted him.
I only wanted him after it was decided he was going to be it.
Yes, there's no people wanted Elizabeth Warren, they wanted Harris, they wanted all kinds of other people. Nobody wanted Biden. Right. He won. Good for him, but we didn't want him. Right. Like, I didn't want.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to know what backdoor conversations happened. Like, I want to know how that all. Like, our kids will get to see the Showtime.
Yeah, I mean, he had that congressman. What is that congressman name? Is it Clyburn? Who endorsed him? Like, I don't remember. Yeah, man. Like the older Democrats wanted that guy, and
people don't like Bernie. Like, Bernie's colleagues don't like Bernie.
Yeah, it's his fault though. Yeah. Yeah, that's his fault. But yeah, so.
Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah. You know, and it's going to be interesting for the Republicans too.
Yes, because what are they saying? DeSantis
and Cheney. Cheney's going to run.
She's going to run?
I really think she's going to run.
Yeah, but DeSantis is going to win Florida. It's going to be like the Republicans are like, let's say Trump can't run. They may not have a choice but to try to put them. The Florida got so much in the primaries. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah, that'll be exciting. I like voting.
I like voting too. All right, so yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about some student loan stuff.
Congratulations to me.
Congratulations, Johnny Hampton. And I never said our intro.
Oh my goodness, you gotta go back. You gotta put that in now.
I know. Welcome to the Strongly Worded Podcast. We'll see you next week. But come find us on Instagram at the Strongly Worded Pod. And find our Facebook group, the Strongly Worded Pod group. We're gonna get back in there this week.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, man, I was slacking. I didn't even promote the episode this week.
But I think it's good because we got a couple in the hopper.
Okay.
We can. Yeah. You know, we'll promote both of them. We were rusty. It was a whole summer off. And it's not like we haven't had a lot going on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been, oh, God.
We've had a lot happening.
Yeah, I'm glad it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, personally, so.
I'm getting a lot done around the house. Like, not stuff that you look at and see yet, but like organization behind the scenes in drawers and closets and storage spaces.
I am such a lazy bum when it comes to housework.
Yeah.
Like, thank God for my wife, man. Seriously, like, I am, like, I'm lazy now. I got to get back to it. There's some things I've been wanting to do in my closet, in my side of the bedroom, throw some crap out. Maybe next weekend. Yesterday I did not get to do that.
Yeah. Well, I've been working on the lanai, getting it swept down, and my new rug is arriving today, and some new furniture out there. So for that brief moment where you can actually enjoy being outside on your lanai in Florida.
Yeah, that time is coming.
It'll be fantastic. And I think we decided on a fire pit for the backyard.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
We'll have some fun things to do in our spare time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for listening. Come find us on the socials, and we'll see you next week.
This Strongly Worded podcast is written and produced by Johnny Hampton and Sue O'Leary. Music production and vocals by Marshall Matty.